and baby, I'm TFC till I die.
Hello and welcome back to Toronto Till I Die. As my dog goes off in the background, I'm Mike Newell, along with Jeffrey P. Nesker and Noel from our other shows, obviously TFC Unplugged, the Tunnel Club. Gentlemen, it's good to be back. We took some time off, obviously, for various personal reasons. I had to go through a World Series run, which was just insane. But
you were spitting truths. I mean, just keep going on that tangent. For those that weren't keeping up, Mike compared, or do you even want to talk about this?
Sure. You know what? Like I said, I didn't want to talk about, but like shit, we're here.
Yeah.
Why not?
It occurred to me halfway
here.
through. Like, wait, didn't you say I don't want to talk about it? And I'm just being.
I don't want to talk about like Game 7. I'll just talk about the
no.
experience.
But
yeah.
The idea was like immediately I contextualized it as 2016 TFC, right? Like,
yeah.
I remember watching the dude almost break his leg kicking the garbage can on the walk to the streetcars as Seattle was celebrating in our barn, right? And but you said that it reminded you of 2019, and I can't help. And you gave some compelling evidence. Like, it really was surprise after surprise after surprise after surprise. I think. That's,
for me, it was more like, you make look the Jays had an amazing season. They obviously win the pennant. They go into the playoffs and just all these improbable things and all these dramatic games and all these incredible moments that seem to come out of nowhere happen, and then you all of a sudden find yourself in a final, or in the case of TFC, a World Series in case of the Blue Jays. Obviously, you don't win at the end of the day, but the feeling, the vibe afterwards is really high. Now, hopefully, the Blue Jays don't end up doing what TFC did after that, which is literally fall
after
off a
2019.
cliff.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, I'm Bo Bichette. You guys don't care about winning. When that tweet comes out, I think I'm gonna have to come and hug you. But that's besides the point.
Yeah. But
what was the tweet that D'Amico wrote for Sebastian? Wasn't it something like this team doesn't share the same desire for winning, or something absolutely awful when he left right at the tail end of 2018.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what it was,
right.
But getting away from a team that captured the country's imagination and hearts and things like that, to a team that I don't think could capture a raccoon in a trash bin right now. We have to wrap up the 2025 Toronto FC season in some way here and talk a little bit about, I think a lot has been said. Noel, and obviously we'll talk about Sean in a moment, because a lot of what we're doing while we're coming back tonight is for him. But you guys wrapped it up really nicely in the Tunnel Club in your final episode, where you guys talked a lot about, where is this club going, and what do fans have to honestly look forward to, in 2026 and going forward with this team? Because I think there's a lot of concern among the fan base around, do we have the right people in place to make decisions? And do we trust that Robin Fraser, in the end, as much as we like him, is he the right guy to lead this team on the pitch? And I'm wondering from both of you, and maybe Noel, I'll start with you, just your thoughts on not just the end of the season, but this offseason. Again, the title of this show is The Most Important Offseason, Take 5, because it feels like we've been having the most important offseason for this club every year since 2020, or the end of 2020, I should say. So what are you thinking? Like, what's in your mind in terms of, where is this club really going to go?
Well, that's the thing. That's the $1 million question, right? We've been asking it for 5 years. Where are we going? What are we doing? Who do we build around? And, the Jays have been I know you don't want to talk about it, but the Jays kind of, when they won that third game, you kind of got that, I haven't had this moment since TFC in 2019, which we were just talking about. Right? It's that feeling that makes you go, oh my God, that's what I'm missing. That's the part of this TFC thing that we miss the most, right? It's that, oh my God moments. We haven't had those. We've had maybe one or two. And then I look at the team, I look where we are, and we haven't really, like, even, the last couple of weeks, we haven't really sat down and looked at TFC and gone, what are they doing? I've just kind of taken a break from it. And then, I think the first thing I saw was Raul Petretta is not coming back. And again, I think he epitomizes sometimes the expectations that we have, because he's one of those guys. When we signed him, I was quite excited because I thought this was a guy that could do something, right? And 3 years of disappointment, which, he's not been fit, not been healthy, but he epitomizes what has been happening. We've brought players in, they greatly underperform, they don't really have a connection with the club. And I kind of still feel the same way as I do on the last day of the season. I just don't feel there's a connection with what's going on. And Robin Fraser might be a great guy. Do I think he has the quality to lead us forward? Maybe if he gets the players he wants, maybe if he gets the system, maybe we get a bit of a Jays run where you get a little bit of luck on the way, because we haven't had a lot of luck in the last 5 years. But I am still stuck on this. Who are we really building around, right? Because it looks like it's Theo. Obviously, that deal's obviously going to be done and dusted. You've got some pieces like Monlouis and Gomes that look like you could build around, but the rest of it still isn't built around. And I think that's really, for me, that's where we're at, right? Do you know what I mean? I'm not overly enthused, but again, we don't know what to expect from them, because we don't get any leaks, we don't get any, we don't get any scoops on any ideas of who they're looking at, right? We just kind of somebody turns up one day and it's a press conference and then we all react. That's how it is. We don't get a real good leak anymore, which in the old days, despite the absolute chaos, you got leaked to everybody, and at least we could have something to talk about. But nowadays, we don't have nothing to talk about because we don't get any leaks.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's 5 years of futility, right? Like the club is 5 years down the road of like trying to have a vice-like grip on their horrible PR and terrible standing. So, it doesn't surprise me that we live in a no-fly zone for sort of club information like that. But you say something really interesting, and that is, the oh my God moments. And in some ways, you can't predict those. I mean, the reason that Sebastian Giovinco's 2015 taking us taking it to Red Bulls, taking us to Montreal to get our asses handed to us. I mean, the reason why it's so legendary is because it was unexpected. We're talking about the 2019 and talking about how it mirrored this experience, this national experience of following the Jays on their run. Half of it was unexpected, and then more people came. So it's kind of a self-defeating prophecy. We're asking for these moments that you can't possibly predict. And it would cheapen them. That's the reason
why we keep coming back, right?
Yeah, it is. It's like, it's like we're chasing the monkey, right? Like it's 100%. And then the other thing is, and I've been thinking about this a lot. We talk about Raul Petretta and we talked about Ulla Brynhildsen. Those are the two that I'm going to raise here as examples, right? You said it yourself, Noel, massively underperformed, but when they showed up, we were excited because we looked at their numbers and we saw probably the same thing our front office did. But I'm starting to think that you can't look at those numbers in a vacuum, right? You look at Ulla Brynhildsen's numbers, and what was it? I mean, I don't want to guess, but it was ridiculous. It was like his last loan stint was something like 12 goals in like 20 games or something. Let's just pretend that that's it, right? Now, we're looking at it out of context because we see the flashy numbers and we go, he can do that for us. But what we forget is that he's surrounded in the same way that Raul Petretta's numbers at FC Basel looked like this guy's going to come and terrorize MLS, but we ignore that there is a whole team around him that maybe have a higher baseline, and therefore a guy that plays limited minutes on a team like that, in a league like that, may have more success than being handed the keys to the attack in regular minutes in MLS. And I think that, a lot of those deals, and I could go even, I think Van der Wiel is a different thing altogether. I think you win MLS Cup and you decide you want somebody that's been a World Cup once and you pay top dollar. But a lot of these deals are shadows of the naivete that I can't believe that TFC still possesses. Without, it's okay for us to speculate, hey, why didn't Raul Petretta work out? Look at his numbers at FC Basel. But I expect a professional scout and the front office of a professional football team to not suffer the same knee-jerk kind of reactions that we do. That's why we play Football Manager and then don't manage football teams, right? So, like, this is something that I've been thinking about preparing for this. Like, I don't want a front office that is a dog chasing squirrels, right? I think we've been given, and this is not to say let's send Hernandez on his way. I think he's earned this rebuild with the shrewd job that he's done undoing the damage of Ali Curtis, Bob Bradley, Bill Manning. Nate, pick your poison.
Yeah.
But I will be very critical of signings as they come. And I will judge them against what I'm going to call the Ula Petretta theorem, which is, is this shiny? Is it a squirrel, or is there actual thought behind this move? Like, I don't trust the numbers anymore. I want more. And I guess that segues right back. Well, it also segues back to my earlier point, is that I don't think we can predict what's going to happen with this team. I think we just have to be excited by the fact that all the flotsam, or at least 98% of the flotsam that has dragged this team down for 5 years, is gone.
Well, it's interesting you say that, Jeff, because I know you made the point earlier. In previous years, like you said, we'd have leaks. We would have some at least idea of going into an offseason, generally where they might be going in terms of signings, the type of signings they might be looking for, things like that. I think this is the first time in quite a while that we're going into the offseason, and I can't genuinely tell you what TFC is really going to do in this offseason. Like, I know other than they're going to go try to get a number 9 as a DP. Other than that, you just don't know. You don't know what they're going to do. You don't know what holes they really want to fill. We have what we think they should fill, and then there is what they are going to actually do and what they're seeing on their depth charts and in their scouting in terms of potential player acquisitions, right? Like, I think somebody mentioned, I think Sean, who's listening in, just said, like, there's a good chance that Sean Johnson, doesn't come back, right? And that's your player of the year, anytime your goalkeeper is player of the year, you didn't have a great year, but in the end of the day, that's a big piece. Do you go with Luka Gavrin? Are you confident enough to say, like, he's going to take over the number 1, or do you go out and get another goalkeeper and have them challenge Luka Gavrin for the number 1 spot? I mean, there's a lot of sort of certainty in terms of there's a core group of guys that clearly are going to be here and clearly are going to be built around. But there are still a lot of positions that I think could be battled for on this team. And I wonder how Jason Hernandez is going. And maybe you guys, I'd love to get your opinion on this, is like, how do you think Jason Hernandez should go about this? And it's not just Jason Hernandez, but obviously he is the public face of the front office from that perspective. So, like, how should he go about this? Like, is it about going out and you are building to compete and contend for MLS Cup in 2026? Or are you starting to now really lay the foundations for a run maybe in 27 beyond? What do you guys think?
Let me get this out quickly. I'll try and be succinct. I do think that as much as we want to be excited about 2026, the experience of being a TFC fan living in Toronto in a World Cup year is going to be whiplash. I mean, if the team does good, TFC fans are going to be baying for blood as to why they can't get into World Cup. And if the team does bad, we're going to feel like the worst bridesmaid ever, going to see them lose to Columbus Crew on a Wednesday, and then 2 weeks later watching the fanfare as the entire city gets swallowed up in World Cup fever and we're not invited. So, I think we always preach patience, but this is a different kind of patience, right? I think this idea of being competitive in year 1 outside of a World Cup year is already insane, right? Like that shouldn't be a target, because we keep disappointing ourselves with asking for too much, because we're not competitive. I mean, like our baseline is terrible. So I think looking professional is the goal, not getting completely broadsided about whatever World Cup fever invades. And listen, like, what's the point of having an academy? What's the point of having a Luka Gavarin if they're just going to waste their careers? And I'm not using Luka specifically, but I'm saying, we've seemed to have this academy class has seemed to have created a Kobe Franklins and the Cozy Thompsons, the guys that are going to be role players in a build. All signs point to, like, this is how Matty Doyle said it himself. We're an expansion team right now, right? So, I mean, the best we can hope for is a couple wins. Like, it's 2007 again.
No, before you jump in, I would just say that I think that at the end of the season, at least in, let's just say, the last dozen results, I know there are mostly draws, you started to see a team that could be, maybe respectable is the right word, but at least like a team that could battle for something. I don't know what it is. If you take
Sean John out of that equation, that entire house of cards falls apart, right?
Maybe,
and we don't know, and we don't know that he's coming back. So
yeah, maybe. But I do think you may have seen at least a team that is, at least not going to capitulate like a house of cards every time something goes wrong. But
a team again that I don't necessarily believe has the next man up approach, because again, if Sean Johnson is removed from that equation, it's like not even the B squad anymore. It's like the F squad. Like, it's not the same beast, right? So
fair. No, what do you think?
The struggle is going to be the schedule. Let's be honest. That schedule,
absolutely.
And before, if you don't realize, because they're essentially they're shutting us out of the stadium, 6 weeks before?
Yep.
So we are going to probably get the most ugliest, convoluted schedule you've ever seen in your life.
Probably front-loaded big time.
Yeah.
So even more than last season, which was insanity. We're going to
freeze our nads off in the stands for the first part of the year. And so the schedule is going to be an impact, which could be a good and a bad thing. Again, you don't know, but it's a variable we don't really understand until we see it. But we do know there's going to be that massive gap in the middle where it's, should be warm, sunny, fun games, but it's not. We're either going to freeze to death at the start of the season or freeze to death at the end of the season. I haven't figured out which way it's going to land for us. But
I will put money on beginning of the season.
Yeah, I'm going to put money on that if I'm a betting man, and I'm not a betting man, but that's what I would put my schedule on. So the schedule is going to make an impact regardless of what they do. And whoever comes in at DP9 better be used to the cold, because there's a very big difference with how you're going to play, right? And in winter when it's -5, do you know what I mean? So it's going to be ugly. I think that's going to be my expectations is same as we are this year, 12th, right? Mm-hmm. But all I want from this is I just don't want stupid statements about us going to win MLS Cup and trying to. And if we get there, then like at the start of the show, we said, we want to be surprised. I want to be surprised. I've been waiting to be surprised for 5 years. I still haven't been surprised. So I'm going to stick with we're going to finish 12th. And if they surprise me and go up the table and we play better football, and all I ever want is just to watch a good, entertaining game. And I think, and players that put in a shift, and you've got some that have put in a shift, but I think there's a lot that's, lacking that little bit of drive and energy. And I do worry about the biggest part of this team that Jeff mentioned is depth. We always seem to build a great 11. That 11 never plays together. And then we always end up with the B squad, the F squad. And that's where the problems lie, is when we're trotting out, those games, we just giving those up, right? And that's been a TFC thing for more than 10 years, where we just
it's funny because I'm just seeing comments here about Hernandez
Trash
and
Panda's
Fraser
just
and culture.
lighting everything on fire.
This is the things that were supposed to be sorted in the last 2 or 3 off seasons, right? You were supposed to be able to figure that out.
But they were crushed under the weight of luggage boy and hair extensions. Like they were absolutely couldn't make a move, right? Like we've been screaming it from the mountaintop.
No, but I think that they did bring in players that they did make a move that, like Brent Hilton, that just didn't work, right? And I think...
but but again, I will argue that like it's not like Hallen's coming here. I think it was a shrewd bit of business to get a guy that turned all of our heads with his 11 goals in 20 games coming here on a loan deal to maybe get some more. Like that's shrewd business. No one wants to come to TFC. We freaking sucked. Like we had nothing to offer. So the fact that we were able to get actual, I mean, I don't know about capable considering Ula's time here, but the fact that we are able to bring Ula in at all, I think is a massive coup for Hernandez considering where we were at. So, you know, I appreciate that everybody is fed up. 100% fed up, and it's a raw deal to you know, now Jason Hernandez gets to start working when everybody's already sick of him in his chair. You know, he's been sitting in the same chair for 3 years, but it is what it is, man. Like,
well, at the end of the year, if we're not anywhere near it, then he will be gone.
Yeah, oh, right? Absolutely, without question.
So it's because it's make or break, because at the end of the day, the fan base isn't going to take much more, right? They've got to see some progression. If you don't see progression this year, you know, you already saw it towards the end of the season. The apathy's there. Nobody's, you know, the season ticket's gone up. That you dumped a whole fair amount of people. And, you know, somebody said to me the other day, oh, well, TFC aren't worried about the season tickets. I'm like, they are. Have you not seen their aggressive marketing campaign?
Mm-hmm.
You invite a friend to get
very worried about it. Trust
me. We haven't rolled
yeah.
that shit out for a long time, right?
Let me interject. I think all of the worry is tabled for the magic fairy dust that the World Cup is supposedly going to sprinkle on everybody. We're all going to be massive football fans. Toronto is going to, you know, the CN Tower is going to make the observation deck.
Game
you just have to have lived through any World Cup cycle. It's what every host nation says, and then they're bitterly disappointed, and their stadiums start being reclaimed by the jungle that they spent $400 million of taxpayers.
Yeah,
but that's coming, and heads are going to roll at TFC when they don't get what they're envisioned as, you know, the saving grace that is World Cup magic beans.
I'm not sure they are banking on that anymore. I think that might have been the case before, but I think reality is sitting in a little bit at MLSE in terms of, like, I just don't. I like look. They're losing a lot of money.
Yeah.
I think as fans we're accustomed to be like, well, MLSE can just afford it, and true, the parent company can, but TFC as the entity itself is losing lots of money.
Yeah, there's only so long before you know.
Right, exactly, and I think that's kind of where we are at the moment, where this club is, to Matty Joel's point, kind of almost in expansion mode again. Where the difference is you do have a club legend who has been here for a very long time. You do have a national team player that right now is playing maybe some of the best football he's played in quite a while. You know, at least for the national team. You know, and you know, you kind of maybe have something with a young forward. You do have a DP10 that looks like he's the real deal. So there are at least some building blocks here, but the question does become, can the front office and can Robin Fraser put together a decent enough squad around those pieces to really have any impact in this league? You know, and that's remains to be seen. Right now, the evidence right now says no. Right, that's based on what we've seen in the last couple of years. The evidence is no, they cannot. But hopefully we are proven wrong. Hopefully they're able to go out in the market and be smart with their money. I don't think you can rely on a loan army again. Like, no. I just don't think you could get away with it this year. I don't think you can get away with it a second time.
No.
So it's the buy-in, right, with the loan players. You just don't get that buy-in.
You don't get it.
Exactly. You know, like, yes, okay, maybe you get some guys with chips on the shoulder trying to prove themselves, but really, at the end of the day, you got a bunch of guys who don't know what their status is.
It's a career year on meth. It's your option year on meth, right? Like, they're dealing with not just the loanee club, but their home club, right? Like,
well, they got the safety net of, if this doesn't work out, I just go back to my own club.
Yeah, I just go
right?
back. I go back. It wasn't that bad riding the pine. Yeah, absolutely, without question.
Yeah, and like, there are worse places to get loaned to than Toronto.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
like, in terms of a place to live.
MLS, you can go from the bottom to the top with, you know, 4 or 5 of the right players and the right moves. That's that is always the part of me that's always like, you know what, it is MLS. You just get those.
And
right
everybody's schedule is screwed for the World Cup too. It's not just us.
So it is in that sense. You know, I was saying this because I was talking to somebody about Philip Seekenagel, you know, guy with one of the best names in soccer, right?
It's a good name.
Plays for Chicago, right? Outstanding. Cost him no money, right? Great experience, good thing. He came in, but he's a character guy. And, you know, I don't get me wrong, he did play for Forest, so that's why I know that. But again, it's the character. I think that's the thing that's lacking in the club sometimes is the character. Yeah, you've got Oso. Yeah, but you need somebody else. You need someone that the players, the fans gravitate to. And I don't think we've had that in a while, right?
I would argue that Oso, although experienced and respected in the locker room and respected in the community, isn't quite that guy. Like he's in the sense that he is your captain and he is respected because he has been here for a really long time. But is he the guy that really like can kind of not physically grab a collar, but you know what I mean? Like be able to command that, like.
It's part of the position. I mean,
it's not an easy position.
You play off a six.
You need three or four of those on a team. You need 3 or 4 of those on a team.
That's
we
true.
do not have that. Like I don't see it in Richie. Richie's there.
I do.
I would actually see more in Richie than Oso, but
I see it more in when Richie's got the bit in his mouth.
Somebody else. I think you do need somebody else in that, especially in the midfield. I do think you need someone, and I do think as part of what drives me nuts is you do need that Drew Moore, right? And I've been banging the drum for like
so
3
badly.
years. You need a Drew Moore that's just calm, collected, well-spoken, but it also commands and communicates. And I think when you know, because we love Chris Mavinga, but he used to have those moments where he'd be tearing up down the thing, trying to score like Messi, right?
You need both. You need a Mavinga and a Drew Moore. You need them both.
Yeah, you need somebody like that where Drew Moore's like, because I always remember watching a game where Drew Moore's telling Chris to just calm down, stay in position, stop charging upfield. You need that at the back. You need that leadership. I just don't see the leadership in, you know, I see it in Sean Johnson, but I don't see it in the spine of the team. And I think that's the biggest gripe I have is that where's that commitment? Where's that leadership? Where's that person that, you know, we talk about Michael Bradley, but that was what Bradley did the best. Take the play out of it is he held everybody accountable. He made everybody aware of their positions. He made everybody understand that this is a role. This is what they need to do. And we lack that leadership on the pitch. And I just don't see it in anybody out there that really screams, this is who is our leader on our team. And I think that is the biggest thing they have to answer, along with a DP9 in our team. You need voices. You need voices to drive the culture, to drive the change, to drive the commitment. And that's what we lack so badly. It's so obvious.
I agree.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask a question quickly about sort of just the fans and sort of how things are, sort of the vibe is there. Before I do that, I do want to just really quickly, part of the reason, again, we're doing this show, obviously, Sean Levy, our co-host, our friend, has hit some hard times. We did set up a GoFundMe for him. Jeff just put that up there on the screen. It is in the chat. If you are able, or you can, feel free to click that link in the chat and go ahead over to the page. For some weird reason, it says the fundraiser is for me. It's not for me. It is for
you're the bank account. Did anybody?
That's why.
Give you?
But like, I'm getting.
Did anybody give you grief about that? Like, why are you stealing Sean's money?
No. But just I saw it today, and I'm like, oh no, it is not for me.
No, he stepped in because my bank account has I have so many auto withdrawals from my bank account. It like nothing like. I'm not spending Sean's money on an Adobe subscription. That would be the worst thing in the world. So
yeah,
I needed someone to tag in, and Mike tagged in. So
yeah,
no
do trust that it is not for me. It is going to Mr. Levy, who was watching tonight. So Sean, get better, feel well, friend. We miss you. and obviously we'll have you back on when you're feeling a lot
Yeah,
better.
what's the
and
point?
back up
What's
to
the
it.
point of a community if we can't use it as a weapon to help each other,
Absolutely.
to
Look,
build each
look.
other
Hey,
up, right?
I'm looking at this page right now. We're already at $1,200. Like the community
Mhm.
has stepped up big time.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we thank all those who are listening or will listen on podcast version and have
Mhm.
donated. We really appreciate the help, and I'm sure Sean does as well. So from that, we from our bottom of our hearts, obviously, we thank
Absolutely.
you for putting
Mhm.
in that time and obviously your dollars to that. Okay,
Dollars to them.
let's just reset here quickly
Mhm.
on the fan base right now, and just you kind of mentioned it. Both have mentioned it in your comments. The I feel it more than I've ever felt it in
Yeah.
this
Oh,
fan
it's
base. The apathy.
100%.
I have
The
not
apathy and the
felt the
changing of the
apathy.
guard. The
Yeah,
changing of the guard.
yeah,
That
there
like year
definitely is.
ones en masse have had enough. Now, whether that was the natural order of things, I mean, I don't think so. I'm sure, Noel, you have tons of evidence. Like a functioning football club, the reason that we love this sport so much, and you know what, I'm not gonna be so conceited. Every sport or every group is that you go, you love it, you grow up, you have kids, you bring your kids, they love it. It's like your kids love Star Wars because you love Star Wars. And that's how, a football club becomes an institution. That's how it becomes the Benficas of the world, or the football clubs of the world. Like, you know, all I thought about on the Jays run, because I just don't have time to watch 182 games every season, but I love postseason baseball. All I thought about was, going with my dad in the 90s when they were winning. Like, that was his sport. My dad needed an extra chair for his peanuts and the Walkman so he could listen to the game call, and he needed all the room to keep score in the program and stuff like that. So coming back, getting off my non sequitur, is that the natural order of things? Like, is it like, obviously we can't, like, comparing TFC to Nottingham Forest or a European team ignores that North America has a totally different zeitgeist than there, right? But you see examples. Your Green Bay Packers, right, is a
Yeah.
great example of a
Community.
sporting community that works the same way as it does in jolly old Europe, that we're all looking at as like the shining bastion of what we need to be. Um, so shouldn't we be concerned, like, that so many day ones have given up on this club? Like, we're not
I think
old
they've
enough for
given
that
up
yet.
because the club feels like they've given up on them. Because there's a difference, and like
We
I
talked
can
about
go.
this endlessly on the last Tunnel Club, but we can
No,
do
but
like a
like
greatest.
from
Mhm.
like this week, I don't know if you saw that. I think I posted that there was a knife attack on the train coming back from the Forest Man United game, right, where 9
Yeah.
people got stabbed, and the Forest fan was the one that kind of took the guy down, took some wounds. How the club responds, how the club acts within the community is whether you like Marinakis or not. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's about the community. It's always about the community and the supporters. It's always
Mm-hmm.
about doing
Looking
what's
at you,
right.
Aston
Team
Villa.
to be
Sorry, I
doing
had to
what's
had to
right.
get that out there.
You're going
That's
through
just
it.
sad.
Like
Mm.
as you pointed out, the other example, which is great for me because I was in Green Bay this weekend and the Packers lost miserably to a team they should have absolutely kicked their butts for, but they didn't. But
Mm-hmm.
that place, even in a defeat, people were still smiling. It's the community you feel within somewhere. And
It's how we
what we
survive.
love with
Yeah.
TFC is the community within the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's dying. And they don't know how to stop it from dying, but they don't facilitate for it to grow again because they took away a lot of things that they used to do. And we've talked
Mm-hmm.
about this. The problem is you don't have a connection on the pitch. You don't have a connection with the club. The fans are alienated from the club. That's why you see the
Or
banners.
priced out.
Why we
Yeah.
are, and they are pricing you out. But they don't want to address the elephants in the room. They just lie to us, and that's a very dangerous thing to do in sports. Is to lie to
I
people,
I
and
can't I
that's
can't not disagree. Yeah.
and that's
Do you,
the problem that you are seeing is the fact that they don't seem to understand that yes, you need money, but if you have a core fan base, win, lose or draw, will always come back if you treat them the right way. They just don't treat the fans the right way,
I think
and
that was their mistake. Winning and losing happens all the time, but they were so embarrassed of their product, right, over the last 5 years, so embarrassed of the internal mistakes, the institutional failures, etc., that they stopped selling their own product, right? That's why all that stuff stopped, because everybody in TFC, ourselves included, was waiting for the other shoe to drop, right? For at least 2 seasons, we've been waiting for Lorenzo to F off, right? And everything else was secondary. And I feel that has just sort of metastasized in the way that TFC operates. You know what I mean? Because it's insane. This is a public-facing company. How can you sit there and go, no one is going to notice that they're paying more for less? You know what I mean? You would think that they would do the opposite. They're like, look, our team is crap right now. Bring out the toques. You know what I mean? Let's get a toque limbo train going. Like, but the opposite is true.
Yeah. That's the thing, and I take and somebody's got it in the comments there that, you know, what did they lie about? Well, they came out at the start of the season last year when they hadn't signed anybody, nothing had changed, and we're talking about winning and challenging for titles, and then there's no option. That was a supporters and a season ticket holders conference where you can have an opinion or ask a question. The guy that everyone wanted to ask questions to ran off and got on a flight to Birmingham rather than answer the questions that he knew inevitably were going to come that weren't positive. But if you are a true leader and you are somebody that really understands what the club means to the city, you would sit there and answer those difficult questions. Because what you get from that is respect from a fan base that you've answered difficult questions. And we understand the reality of the contracts and Insigne and all that. But the fact is, you came out, they made these statements that we're going to win titles this year. We're going to challenge for things every year. And then they
flame you, Noli. I'm losing it, because you did say 15 minutes ago, the thing about MLS is that you can win the year after you played last. So was it
you've got to sign
was
somebody,
it just magical thinking?
That's ultimately the problem. You can't win
again. I agree, and I don't disagree with you. You know, Mike, I know you don't want to talk about the Jays, but they were last place last season. Did they come out at the beginning of this season all blustery Keith Pelly-like and say we're going to go to the World Series?
No,
and
if people thought John Schneider was going to get sacked, and most of those guys were thinking that they were going to get contracts extended.
Fine. So, but if they did, would we take them to task for it, or would we just accept that it's that kind of bluster? It's the same sort of thinking that every new coach comes in and goes, we're going to play attacking champagne football, and then they all line up like Big Sean, right? Like they're just like the most negative football ever. So it's like, sometimes I don't, it's in one ear out the other. Like, what's a coach going to say? You know what? I came here to park the bus and fight for 1 point on a Wednesday night against Orlando City. Like, of course they don't. They come there and they say, you know what we're going to do? We're going to reinvent soccer. We're going to, you like that shootout, MLS 94? We're bringing it back, everybody, and free hot dogs and balloons for the kids. Like,
but they didn't do any free hot dogs and balloons for the kids.
No, they didn't. They really didn't.
They didn't do that.
So, but again, fine, Keith Pelly, there are myriad different ways he messed up that day, right?
Sure,
but on the other side, it's like everybody's question is, what the fuck are we going to do? Like, why are we so bad? And how can he answer that? Like, what are you going to do with Lorenzo? Like, isn't he a piece of shit? Like, Keith Pelly is not going to get up yes, he is. We hate him and he stinks and he farts all the time. Like, he's never going to say that.
No,
so it's like,
there's a
he
way
did that in a very corporate way.
There's a very different way of engaging that, though. And I think at the end of the day, you can say what you want to say without having to say it. We all know how that goes, right? We do it every day at work, probably, right? We say things that,
right.
My boss is tough. Most times, right? I say things to him.
But you don't have those conversations with your boss in a public forum with 100 other people paying attention to it. Right?
Oh, I don't know. I do.
I want to work where you work, buddy. That sounds awful.
That's because you have to be. Because we have one of the things that I love in my company is we have a value is it's open and honest, right? You've got to say sometimes that, look, we had challenges. We aren't going to be up there world beaters, but you know what? We're going to give you something better than we give you the year before. That's a simple statement. It doesn't promise anything other than we'll be better than we were the day before. That's my New Year's resolution for the last 10 years. Try and be better than I was the day before. Because we all screw up. We all make mistakes. And life's about that. That's what happens. It's the fact is, when you double down, triple down, and quadruple down that you're going to be world beaters, and then you come out and you you could score 3 goals in like 9 games, and we're like, when are we going to get a win at home? What's going to come first, the summer or a win at home? Like, it's just, you know what I mean? That's where again.
I guess it's the movie biz guy in me, but like every movie, it's gonna be amazing. Just wait until you see it. It's getting released in the dead of January, like where movies go to die. But you wait, it's gonna be awesome. And it's usually a turkey, and everybody knows it. But you have to come out with that bluster. So I guess I just have a filter that's like, I know that's bullshit, so I just completely ignore it. Like, I know that's bullshit. Like, I think, you know what I mean?
think here's the thing for me, and I don't know if any of the listeners feel the same way. So feel free to chime in as well, in terms of your feeling. Mine isn't so much listening to Keith Pelly or Jason Hernandez or Jonathan Osorio, or anybody else go up to a podium and tell me or promise me or try to sugarcoat things in my ear. I have been in this industry long enough. I have watched this club long enough. I've seen enough press conferences to know when people are saying things they need to say in order to really just, I got to say this so I don't get fined.
Yeah,
so
just
really
fill air. Exactly.
Right? Like, but exactly, right? They're pulling a Marshawn Lynch. But like, at the end of the day, the thing that in upfront with a lot of people, I am not renewing my tickets. I will not be a member next year. I'll go to games, but I'm not renewing my tickets. The reason I feel the way I feel is because I no longer believe that the club value me as a member.
I'm glad you
Simple
said
as that. It has nothing to do
that's
with
the genuine sentiment,
right? And it's not so much about what Keith Pelly's promised me or Robin Fraser or Jason Hernandez has promised me. Look, I joined this club when they were literally, their star player called them the worst team in the world. Okay, so I understand losing, and I've seen a lot of losing in that stadium. It's not even so much the losing that gets to me. What gets to me is that I see things happening from a business perspective, and I see things happening from an on-field perspective that just insult my intelligence. Yeah. Right. And as a supporter, as a somebody who is a consumer of your product, you're telling me that this team is so bad and you're going to give, I get it. Not everybody got this praise, so I completely understand. But you're going to give some of your longtime season ticket holders who are there, and the reason they're paying what they're paying is they're supposed to bring atmosphere. And I think when I come here, I do my best, right, to hit you with a 22% increase and say, well, we just need to get you up to the rest of the stadium standard. Well, sorry, but no.
You need to get up to the rest of MLS's standard first before we start.
Yeah, what I mean? Like, there's a certain point where you're kind of like, oh, look, guys.
Why am I paying for Lorenzo? Like, why am I paying for Lorenzo? Well, and why am I paying for a World Cup that I can't go to?
Yeah, and I've done it before, right? I've sucked up price increases before, right? Like this is
because
not
that's life. That I always want to discount yeah, because things go up. You can't expect to pay the same for a can of Coke that you did in 2007. Like, it's just not. If you want to be upset all the time, absolutely have that line of thinking, because I promise you, everything's going to bother you. But eventually, you have to be. And then but I get back to the Tukes thing, right? Like, there are a whole bunch of disenfranchised people right now that could have been bought off with Tukes. There are an equal amount of people that could have been bought off with hot dogs or members events. Going to watch Keith Pelly shovel horse shit into their faces for 20 minutes with free wings. That would have satisfied some people.
Yeah, maybe some people.
But they didn't do any of that. They didn't do any of that, and they raised prices, right? And I think that's why people are so upset. It's like, we're not stupid. The quality on the pitch is terrible. We're paying for upgrades that we don't enjoy, or players that actively made us sad, like that actively gave us existential horror every weekend that we went to see them. And, I'm sorry, but when that sounds like a you problem, when they were bad before, it was, we're all in this together, the community will lift up. Like, it's not really about the quality of soccer. It's about the experience. That can't happen again because we've scaled the mountaintop. You cannot get that back. That is the delight of being an early adopter or a startup. Uber was probably super fun when it was 5 people in a garage, or Apple or IBM. A lot less fun when it's a multinational corporation. That's just the way it is. So But again, I can't believe that TFC were so myopic to ignore all the things that they could be doing to avoid this unbelievably precipitous drop off of everybody. Everybody's mad.
Do you
And
think do you think they're so focused on trying to fix the on the pitch that they've completely ignored?
I think they're so
No, I think
focused on making sure that they're not held accountable for what's on the pitch. I think that their hands were tied. And again, it all comes back to this. I think that there is a sentiment that the World Cup will fix what ails us. I refuse to believe that it's dissipated into the ether, because I know human nature. And I think that, I mean, this is the reason why people sign up to host World Cups, even though every evidence is to the contrary. Like, cities sign up to spend hundreds of millions of dollars based on this false dichotomy that suddenly everything's going to be this sea change, and we're all going to sing sea shanties and kumbaya to being trillionaires. It's not going to happen. And I think that it's been this horrible collusion of all of those things. And that's where we find ourselves.
Fair. Just to me, I think to your point, do I think that they're trying to like escape responsibility or so focus on things on the pitch? I think it's part of it, but I think a lot of it is like they're just trying to fix their business right now, right? Like the steady decline in season tickets since 2020. Like, I know what they're saying. Yes, they got a little bump with the Insigne and stuff like that, and they were able to keep some level to a certain point. But I'll tell you right now, like, just I know there is some, I don't want to say panic, but like just general like you know, like in terms of just that number. And like, look, they're gonna get casual people to go to games, and that's fine, and that's gonna they'll live off that. And they'll still have a lot of people who are going to auto-renew into their seats. Some people probably don't even know they're auto-renewing into their seats. So if you see some weird charges on your bank account, just, call a ticket rep and question that. But, I think at the end of the day, like, to me, it's like, if you just tell me you don't want me there. Just tell me you don't want me there, right? Like, it's basically like, just tell me you don't want me. So if you're like, hey, you know what?
I think they're happy to have you, but as long as you don't make too much noise, right?
Well, look, so that's the thing, right? Like, if you can't have it both ways. You can't be asking for people to be supporters and have a whole section and do that and use it for marketing.
You can't ask people to be patient for 5 years and then tell them, no, sorry, it's not time for you to start, throwing elbows. Like, it's been 5 years of patience, and again, no toques.
No, but you know what?
I don't know. Like,
I think they've become incredibly thin-skinned.
They've always been thin-skinned. This club is
but I think they've even
thin-skinned.
more. I think now they turtle climb up at the first sign of any resistance, right? And you see that, like we was talking to somebody that works there, me and Sean recently, and he's like, you guys said this on a podcast, and 5 people went into a room to talk about it. Like, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like grow a pair, right? At the end of the day,
they've seen
what
Arsenal
we want
fan
is
TV.
we just want effort. You want a team that represents the city. And if I'm TFC and I look at the Blue Jays run, I look at it and go, we've got to get back to trying to find that. And they've got to sit down and have a look in the mirror that they've lost that. They had that,
and that's why I think everything is going to be 2026 or bust.
Because I don't think they listen anymore.
I mean, I look, I don't have the inner workings of the club, so I don't know. All I know is that what I feel and what I have seen with my own eyes in terms of my own renewals and things like that, and what I've seen with other people in sections and talking to other people and other supporters, and like the feeling of like it supporting is starting for some people, not everybody, right? Not everybody. Some people are going to be there no matter what. And I actually commend you for being able to ride this out if you can, right? Like, I really do. I actually really do. But like, there are a lot of people who are just like, this is becoming a fucking chore. Like not just
Sure.
to get to the
Not
stage,
just
like
that.
you're talking
And-
about like
that's how
the
I see it.
idea
Yeah.
of like having to be like, hey, I really support this team, but all this other stuff that's happening
Yeah.
in the ether with the business and stuff like that, it just you can't just sit there and be like, well, I can just ignore that on a Sunday
No.
for 2 hours.
Well, I mean,
or a Saturday for 2
the
hours.
arithmetic is flawed. Like season ticket holders are not, by and large, they don't care about winning or losing. They love the vibe so much that they want to be there all the time, right? Like, don't take that kind of love for granted, because everything ends.
Because
And
I'll tell you this just from a Jay's perspective, and just since this came up, right? The reason that you have a Rogers Center from basically the end of June.
What's the Rogers
So
Center?
the Yankee
I've never
series. Think
been
the
there.
Yankee series going into Canada Day, right? That's
What's this
really,
Rogers Center? Is it? Oh, it's the Sky Dome. The Sky Dome. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're talking about-
You're trying to get me in trouble, man. But like you think about the end of that period, right? Where the Blue Jays take the lead in the AL East, they go against the Yankees, sweep them, amazing series. You know what carried carried people and got people into it and got people to be like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna, like, obviously the team's playing well, but season ticket holders, the vibe season ticket holders had in that stadium as that was happening, be like, oh my god, this is amazing. You need to be
saw
here
it.
to see this.
You saw it,
Well,
right?
100%.
And
That's
that
common when they
carried
players too,
going
right?
forward. And I like, look, we could be sitting here and Jason Hernandez by January or mid-January has made all the right moves, brought in all the right players, and we might be on the way to seeing this team actually start to rebound. It's an actual possibility. I actually think that there is
Matty
world where
Doyle
that
has
happens.
said it. Like, I hope. I'm paraphrasing, but he said, "I hope you enjoyed them sucking, because that time is over."
Yeah,
With respect to TFC.
I actually think there is a legitimate possibility that they get this right in the offseason. They get the players they need.
Their
get
feet
the
are on the
vibe.
coals. I mean,
They
there's
haven't-
never been a
full off season with Robin Frazier as the manager. Like you then are on the up. You kind of don't want to be on the up when no one's there to see it, because it gets really tough, right? Like because you got to do that time to convince people to come back and say this is not a mirage. It's not like,
unfortunately,
you know what I mean?
winning teams, like, it solves everything. That
It does. Because
there's 10 million people in Toronto that are going to
100%. I get that.
That are going to spend like $10,000 to go, like,
But
to
you
just
would
be there. Like,
you just be in a much better position, if you have those champions already in the stadium being like, this is an amazing experience. You need, that's what
100%.
happened.
Or
that's
the
what
Leafs.
happened starting in 14 and 15, right? You had all these season ticket holders being like, listen, I know you haven't gone to games in a while, but this team, like, holy
But
shit,
we're good
like,
now.
we're good now,
We're good
and you're
now.
gonna want to
Yeah.
be here, right? And then that's when people jumped on the wagon, right? So, like, I
Kalen
think
Clark or Caden Clark or Kalen Clark, I can't remember his name, but remember when they did the streeter at the side of BMO Field? I guess it was 2017, and he's like, "Oh my God, this is the best environment in all of MLS," because there were a million diehard TFC fans that had just suffered losing MLS Cup the year before, back in MLS Cup. I mean, you remember what it felt like in that stadium. It felt like inevitability. Like, it was like, we are going to crush you. Like,
Well, I think
did
that's
it in
Toronto
2017.
in general, though. That's when
but-
Toronto's winning with one of the best cities in the world when we're winning. But the problem is we are very good at losing. Thank you.
Yeah.
Lee.
And we're one of the worst cities in the world when we're losing.
Yeah, and I think it just comes down to it. It's just, you are, the sad part for me is like, I'm on, this is my, if we end up 12th next year, I will not be renewing, because it's like Mike said, it does feel like work. We
all don't live in Toronto anymore, so it's a schlep.
It is.
To get
It's
there.
a hike, and it's a full day adventure. But it's just the fact that like, it is the hope that kills me. I am going to make those T-shirts this year for us, Jeff. Don't worry.
Nice.
Because
I love
it is really, that's what it's been lately. It's been the hope. Every year I'm like, this year I've got no expectations, and I'm like, all right, if we suck, then it's not surprising. If we win and we go on a run and we do a 2019 again, then I'm all for it.
See, I get what you're saying.
It's so
like what you're saying,
funereal.
Jeff, but
I mean, I think I was
winning
there
does-
like 3 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah,
where no one
winning
was at.
does help a lot. Don't get me wrong, but again, like I said, for me, it's not necessarily about the winning and losing. That's a part of it. But to me, it's like, am I seeing this club treat its supporters with respect? And I don't see that right now.
No,
And
I
No,
don't.
I mean anyone that says otherwise is lying.
I'm not talking about the South End either. When I say supporters, I'm
No.
not just talking about the South End. I'm talking
I'm
about
glad you
season ticket
clarified that.
holders
Yeah.
all around
Yeah.
the building.
Yeah.
And I just don't see that. And that bothers me. It bothers me because it's a bigger sign of like, listen, we just need the punters in the door, spend the money, buy the beers, buy the jerseys, and get out, right? Like, and that is that I don't love, and I'm not, and like I'm sure, like there's a lot of people that's working in that building, and they care, like they do genuinely care about this club, and want it to be as good as it can possibly be, but there are decisions that are made that on the preface without explanation, obviously, but they do look like, ooh, I don't know if you really care about me, and at a certain point, you just got to be like, listen, is this something that I want to continue to invest in terms
I wish
of
it was,
a ticket and things like that? And for me right now, it's no. That could change. I'm not saying I'm not closing the door forever. I'm not saying I will never come back. But, at a certain point, you just got to be like, listen, I got to vote with my money at some point, right? And this is my vote.
And honestly, like resale tickets on the day, you're saving so much money, and maybe you lose a scarf, but I've got an extra one. I'll give you my
and that just on myself, winning isn't always as important. I like going to watch football, right? That's the reality.
Yeah, that's me too.
Me too.
I like watching football. Like it's just
But BMO's starting to feel. Sorry, continue.
No, I even like I was on the weekend. I was in Lambeau Field, and I'm just stood there in awe of nearly 100,000 people, and just I love they sucked and they lost, but at the end of the day, I love watching football. I love watching soccer too, and I love being in the stadium when the energy is like that, right? When it's 107 decibels, right? I love that noise. I love that. I need that in life, right? And it is. To Mike's point, there is one side of me that is absolutely furious. That is the aggressive side of me that really wants to get hold of somebody in the MLS and go, "What is wrong with you guys? You have a wonderful fan base that is diverse, got very different opinions on how to support,
sophisticated,
but they also understand the game. They understand how it is, but." They don't really care. To Mike's point, they don't care. But you've got a fan base that if you treated them the right way, money will flow. And I just don't. As someone that runs a business that does an awful lot of things in a business, that repeat customer that can come back is worth an absolute fortune.
To say nothing of that's how a football club's supposed to work. You are supposed to bring your kids, then they become the next generation, then their kids become the next generation. I mean, BMO right now is starting to feel like RFK. I mean, I remember in 2016 bringing friends to BMO, and they're like, "Oh my God, it's right by the water. It's so charming. It's such a lovely ground." I bring them now, and I'm kind of embarrassed because you're seeing the cracks. Like you see the crows living under here and there. And then you look at this renovation. I mean, again, measuring against the Jays, right? Like they made an Instagram field, right? We're throwing some bleachers everywhere and calling it a day. Like it's this lack of care, this sort of like mediocrity that will do the least amount of anything and hope for the best, but you're going to pay for it. It's so off-putting.
Yeah, you know what?
We're being taken a ride by everybody. Like streaming is more expensive than cable ever was, right? Like the Brave New World is a bunch of different places just pulling money out of you wherever you go. Just everything costs $1 million. You want this? You need a second mortgage on your home.
Yeah,
the things that we love, they can't you can't play with these emotions. Like you'll turn us all off.
Yeah, the thing is, it sometimes does feel like. Look, everybody knows the reality of where TFC sits in the pecking order at MLSE, right? Like, there's just a reality to that. There were times where we knew that they were like the third, fourth child, but they weren't. They didn't outwardly treat it like that. It feels like they're outwardly treating it like that now.
Oh, they're the ugly stepsister. I mean, I don't think they're allowed in the house anymore.
I think that is the Lorenzo effect. As to what Jeff
potentially, yeah, but I also think like in one
strong big and completely,
and just
but even then, the way that they handled it, like the way that they let it fester and metastasize, the way that they shit canned seasons, not just a season, but multiple seasons waiting for this guy with the cushiest contract in the world to decide that he didn't like free money anymore was the dumbest thing like we've ever had to endure. Like, sack up. I mean, we said it years ago. They could have avoided everything. Buy the MF out. Send him packing. You made a mistake. Own up to it. Like, the fact is that they did nothing. They sat on their hands. They're doing that. Like, that's what our club does. They do nothing. They sit on their hands. And then when something bad happens, they're like, oh my God, I didn't think this leopard would eat me in the face. Like, if you don't water your plants, they're going to die. We're not, like, right now, we're all dehydrated plants. We need something. Just give me a toque. Just give me a toque. I want a toque. My
that
God.
hydrangea up there only wants a toque. Come on.
I just want a toque, guys. Like, I just give me a.
That wants a toque because it's a dehydrated fruit. There's an
I'm a dehydrated hydrangea.
That's how it's gonna keep the frost off.
In Flanders Fields, the Jeffy's grow. Yeah.
All right,
let's.
I have one question. I have one question.
Yeah, go.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys make of the end of season press conference? Did it give you anything that gave you hope?
No. No. Like, no.
I mean, if anything,
I barely watched it. I barely watched it. Like, because you know what they're going to say. You knew what they were going to say. You knew exactly what they were going to say, right? Like, it's not, there was no surprises. No one said anything that was really going to, other than kind of Robin. Like, the only thing that kind of came out was kind of like Robin kind of let out the whole, like, you know, Laurent, like, didn't say his name, but like
those guys
some guys that here that were kind of they kind of sucked ass.
Yeah, that and the fact that Sean John didn't speak and Gavin did. I mean, those are the only two takeaways from that, and the fact that it wasn't just John and Neil and my memes in the room anymore. I wonder how they bribed people to go to Downsview, but like, yeah, like, you know, it was all in one ear out the other. It's all verbal.
It was a lot of talk. It was a lot of talk, and you kind of just knew it, and that's also a part of it too, right? Like, you have such a I don't want to say disenfranchised because I don't want to tell people they're disenfranchised, but like, you know what I mean. You just have a fan base who are just like, we know, we've heard it. We've heard what you're going to say.
Before.
We know what we've heard it all before.
Put it on a toque.
Just
hey, let's try something. No, put all that shit on a toque. Give me the toque, and then maybe I'll believe you. Yeah.
Well, there you go. So they somebody get Jeff a toque, but I think for me the one thing that was the clear and obvious, and I was going to tweet it, but I was rather annoyed at, is I listened to all of it because, you know, I'm a little bit psycho in that way, right? Like I used
to. I'm impressed that I don't anymore.
This is the first year I didn't listen to everybody speak.
I was driving.
Voraciously, I used to.
I was driving, so I had it on in the car as I was driving, and I was listening, and it was. But to Mike's point about the lack of care, there was not once where they mentioned the support and the fans, and
I think they mentioned the fans a lot, but it was that ephemeral kind of like postscript. Like it fell on deaf ears because it was all so hollow.
That was kind of, to be honest with you, that's the one point where I've said this, you know, to Sean, you know, like that's where I kind of, that's where I'm still struggling with it. Do I renew? Do I not renew? This is why am I on this one season? Because it's just at least say thank you for the people that turned up to watch what is quite possibly one of the dullest seasons I've ever seen of soccer in my life.
Very bad. Mm-hmm.
They put out the post.
Like, it was dull. You got 3 home wins. You got what, 6 goals at home, something like that.
33.6 XG. XGA 50.7, goal differential -17. I mean, like, there's mid, and then there's whatever the F this was. If a TFC season falls in the forest, does anybody care? I mean, that's at the point we're at.
Look, the highlight of my season was the season opener in DC. Like, literally, that was the highlight.
Oh yeah, your free bus trip.
That was the highlight. That was like, oh wow, you know, like that was the highlight. Other than that, oh boy.
I think my highlight was the one time that Something in the Water had an open tab for me. That was pretty fantastic.
That was good.
I very much enjoyed that.
Time. Yeah. We said some nice things about them in the open.
But it was all Jason.
Even they sell toques.
Holy shit! But they're not free. I mean,
They're
I
not
want a
free.
free
They
tee.
are not free.
Yeah.
They're not
We'll
free.
work out a free
You
tee.
can wear it on the show. Maybe you'll get a free sponsor.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not end this on a downer. The fact of the matter is that we're all lifers. We're all, no sentence can be finished with Nesker on the pod. Oh my god! I guess I won't put a postscript in. I'll just zip up because Morgank, has something to say. Sorry, Morgank, no toques for you. What was I going to say? Like, let's not end this on a dull note. I think, or on a downward note. I think the general consensus is, more than the last 5 years, this team actually has a decent shot at being something good this year. What it is, I have no idea.
That's a maybe to me. Like
They've all
I'm
got their
so
feet on the coals, man.
I know you want to. I think there is a chance that will happen. You're right, Jeff. I just think that based on the evidence of the last couple of seasons with Jason Hernandez in the chair,
that's
right. I got to go on the evidence, and the evidence ain't great, or at least it's not consistent enough to tell me that this is going to be a turnaround. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. And if it isn't,
they're going to burn that place down to the studs. So at least take comfort in that.
Yeah, I guess. Look, I do think that I do think there is an opportunity here for this team to turn things around. Like I was,
but it's last chance
encouraged. I was slightly, yeah, in a lot of ways, and I think also. I was slightly encouraged with, like, look, nobody wants to sit there, watch a team draw 8 games in a row or 9 games or whatever they drew. But I will say that I was slightly encouraged, at least in the sense that I saw some damn fight in this team, right? Yeah. And not all these guys are going to be back, obviously. A lot of them are going to be gone. But there is a basis there. And we'll see if they're able to build from that.
Yeah,
I think that's as hopeful as any TFC fan could realistically be.
I mean, we're going to be there anyway, so might as well do something that's fun, right?
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing, though. We're still sat here talking about it, right? Because we're passionate. Because whether we like it or not, it's ingrained in us, right?
Yeah, it's in my DNA.
It's why we talk about it. Like me and Sean have the same conversation all the time. Like we still do it because we're passionate about this club. We still want it to succeed, and it's just I
do it because I like being told off by guys like Morgan, but that's just me. I'm a bit of a masochist.
we can't fix it. Ultimately that's the problem. We can't fix it, but you do need people that want to fix it. And whether Jason Hernandez, I think somebody had it in the comments earlier, I don't think Hernandez is it. I don't think it is either. I just think he seems like a guy would be a great number 2. And yeah, there was Tim. Yeah. And I think Hernandez is the guy that you have next to someone who is the guy. And I do think that one of the biggest things that they lack is a presence in terms of that back office, in terms of connection and all those things that you see across the board. And I think at the end of the day, I don't have enough faith in either of those two. And I think this will be, a prove it year for them. But
we'll see how it rolls. I do think Jason could be. I actually think he can. I think he knows the league very well. He knows the mechanisms. This is just the prove it year.
Yeah. This last chance.
This is the prove it.
And again, it's hard to have any faith considering he was the understudy for who? The ghost of Bob Bradley, like the final form of Bob Bradley. Ali Curtis and his binder, right? Like who? Bill Manning. Like he hasn't exactly been around the sharpest minds in football. So
I will reserve that, but
now is the time. Now is the time. Like now is the
it is now. Right? Now is the time. And look, over the next couple of months, we're going to see, as the playoffs drag on.
They're still going. Jeez.
They're still going, and they're going to have to.
I have not even watched a single minute of playoffs.
They have been.
That reminds me. I had a question. Quick question. Sorry, more gaunts, whatever the fuck. Did you at any point in the Blue Jays run lament that MLS Cup is a one and done game and not a multi-game series?
No.
Me neither. Just checking.
No, MLS does not need best of 3 series. That's a whole other show. We'll leave it at
I know.
that.
I'm sorry to open that box,
but
like,
yeah, no, you don't need divisional series every damn round. Okay, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks, and funny enough, Tim Josh, thanks for dropping that comment. He's seen all of TFC. He's seen it all. So
TFC legend, man.
He
TFC
knows what he's
legend.
talking about. But for Noel, for Jeff, again, guys, thanks for jumping on a Friday night. For everybody that tuned in, we've been away for a while, and you're still tuning in great numbers. Thank you so much. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah,
we will try to drop in here and there on the off season with shows when there's news. And
we get a DP9.
Yeah, especially when we get a
that
DP9.
DP9's name was Prince Owusu.
We'll do a show, and then we'll see what happens. Hell, but for Jeffrey P. Nesker, for Noel, for Mike Newell, Sean, stay well.
Sean, stay well. Please donate
if you see
can.
the link, and if you can donate, feel free to do so. We will see you the next time on Toronto Till I Die. Have a good night, everybody. Cheers,
guys.
And wait, and baby, I'm TFC till I die.